The Wealth Trap. Written and published by Rich Audiobooks. Not all wealth is freedom, and not all success is what it seems. The Wealth Trap exposes the hidden danger most people never see coming, chasing money while losing themselves. You work harder, earn more, build faster, but deep down, you feel stuck, stressed, and strangely empty. Why? Because you've stepped into the trap, a life built on external gains but internal gaps. This book is your wake-up call, a bold invitation to redefine wealth on your own terms. What if true freedom wasn't about having more, but needing less, aligning deeper, and living fuller? The wealth trap is real, but so is your power to escape it. And once you see it, you'll never look at money the same way again. Lesson 1. Thinking hard work alone makes you rich. The most dangerous myth keeping people trapped in poverty is the belief that working harder is the key to wealth. We've all heard the mantras, hustle harder, rise and grind, no days off. While a strong work ethic is admirable and necessary, the idea that simply putting in more hours will make you rich is fundamentally flawed. This misguided belief has trapped countless talented, dedicated people in an endless cycle of trading their precious time for money. Consider two contractors. One spends 80 hours a week doing all the work himself, while the other invests time building systems, hiring teams, and managing multiple projects simultaneously. The first contractor might earn more initially through sheer effort, but he's created a job that depends entirely on his personal labor. The second contractor, though working fewer hours, builds an operation that generates wealth even when he's not physically present. This illustrates a crucial distinction. The wealthy don't just work hard, they work strategically. The real path to wealth requires shifting from active income, trading time for money, to leveraged income, creating systems that generate money. Look at any truly wealthy person. They built or invested in systems that multiply their efforts. Jeff Bezos doesn't personally pack Amazon boxes, and Warren Buffett doesn't work overtime at Dairy Queen. Instead, they've created or invested in mechanisms that generate wealth through scalable operations, intellectual property, or capital deployment. This principle applies regardless of your starting point. A teacher who creates and sells an online curriculum can reach thousands of students instead of just 30. A plumber who builds a plumbing company with multiple trucks and employees creates wealth beyond his personal service hours. An office worker who invests consistently in income-producing assets builds a portfolio that works around the clock. The common thread is moving beyond the limitation of trading time for money. Making this transition requires a fundamental mindset shift. Rather than asking, how can I earn more money, start asking, how can I create value that scales without my direct involvement? This might mean developing intellectual property, building automated systems, investing in assets that appreciate, or creating teams that multiply your impact. The goal is to break free from the direct relationship between your time and your income. The journey from hard worker to strategic wealth builder isn't instant. It's a gradual evolution that begins with awareness and small actions. Start by analyzing your current income streams. How many depend entirely on your time and presence? What opportunities exist to create more leveraged income? Even while working your current job, you can begin building systems, investments, or side projects that generate income independently of your hours. Success leaves clues, and studying wealth creation reveals a consistent pattern. The rich focus on building and owning assets rather than simply selling their time. This might mean creating intellectual property, building a business, investing in real estate, or developing passive income streams through investments. The key is understanding that while hard work is necessary, it's not sufficient for building significant wealth. Your energy must be directed toward creating or acquiring assets that generate value beyond your personal efforts. The most painful aspect of the work harder myth is watching talented people exhaust themselves without making real financial progress. They sacrifice their health, relationships, and joy, believing that more hours will eventually lead to wealth. But without changing the fundamental equation, breaking free from trading time for money, no amount of extra hours will create true financial freedom. The path to wealth isn't about working yourself to death. It's about working strategically to create value that continues growing even when you're not working. Lesson 2. Spending to impress instead of invest. The gleaming new luxury car in your driveway might make the neighbors envious, but it's simultaneously draining your wealth potential with every passing month. This powerful urge to showcase our success through material possessions has become one of the most insidious wealth destroyers of our time. We've been conditioned by sophisticated marketing and social pressure to believe that our worth is measured by the brands we wear and the neighborhoods we live in. This status-seeking behavior creates a peculiar paradox. Those who appear wealthy often carry the heaviest debt burdens, while many millionaires live in modest homes and drive practical vehicles. The reality is that every dollar spent on impressing others is a dollar that could have been invested in building genuine wealth. When you purchase a luxury item, you're not just paying its ticket price. You're also sacrificing all the potential returns that money could have generated over time through intelligent investing. Consider the true cost of status spending through the lens of opportunity cost. A $50,000 0-cents luxury car doesn't just cost $50,000. If that same amount were invested in a diversified portfolio earning a conservative 8% annual return, it would grow to over $230,000 0 cents in 20 years. This means that your desire to impress others today could cost you nearly 5 times the purchase price in long-term wealth. The psychology behind status spending runs deeper than simple materialism. We often use these purchases as emotional band-aids, trying to fill voids of insecurity or seeking validation from others. But this validation is fleeting, creating a continuous cycle of spending that never truly satisfies. The wealthy understand this dynamic and instead direct their resources toward assets that appreciate in value and generate additional income streams. Breaking free from the impression trap requires a fundamental shift in how we view money and success. True financial freedom comes not from displaying wealth, but from quietly building it through strategic investment choices. This doesn't mean living like a miser. It means being intentional about which expenses truly enhance your life versus those that merely signal status to others. The solution lies in developing what I call a wealth-building spending policy. This means evaluating every significant purchase through the lens of its impact on your net worth. Before making a major purchase, ask yourself, will this asset appreciate or depreciate? Could this money be better used to generate passive income? Does this purchase move me closer to or further from my financial goals? This simple mental framework can help break the spell of status spending. Smart wealth builders often adopt a stealth wealth approach, choosing to look average while building extraordinary net worth. They understand that true financial security comes from owning income-producing assets, not depreciating status symbols. They might drive a reliable used car while owning multiple rental properties, or wear modest clothing while owning a robust investment portfolio. The path to wealth requires rewiring our relationship with material possessions and social status. Instead of seeking validation through consumption, focus on building a strong financial foundation that provides real freedom and security. The next time you're tempted to make a purchase to impress others, imagine instead how that money could grow if invested wisely. The most impressive thing you can do with your money isn't to spend it, it's to transform it into lasting wealth that provides opportunities for generations to come. Lesson 3. Avoiding risk out of fear. Fear of risk is perhaps the most insidious barrier between you and wealth creation. Many people spend their entire lives making safe financial decisions, only to discover that playing it too safe was the riskiest choice of all. This paradox lies at the heart of why so many hard-working people never achieve true financial abundance. The human brain is wired to avoid risk. It's a survival mechanism that served our ancestors well when daily threats were physical and immediate. However, in today's financial landscape, this same protective instinct often leads to self-sabotage. By attempting to eliminate all financial risk, you expose yourself to the greatest risk of all, the certainty that your money will lose value over time due to inflation and missed opportunity. Consider the typical response to investment opportunities. When presented with a chance to invest in assets like stocks, real estate, or a business venture, most people's first reaction is to focus on everything that could go wrong. They imagine losing their initial investment, facing criticism from others, or making a decision they'll regret. This fear-based thinking leads them to default to traditionally safe options like savings accounts or certificates of deposit, which actually guarantee the erosion of their purchasing power over time. The wealthy approach risk differently. Instead of asking, what could go wrong, they ask, what do I need to learn to make this work? This subtle shift in perspective changes everything. It transforms risk from something to be avoided into something to be understood and managed. The wealthy know that risk and reward are inseparable twins. You cannot have one without the other. They focus on becoming educated about their investment choices and developing systems to manage risk rather than eliminate it entirely. Building risk tolerance is like building muscle. It requires consistent exercise and gradual progression. Start with small, calculated risks where the potential downside is limited but real. This might mean investing a small portion of your income in a diverse index fund, starting a side business with minimal startup costs, or learning about a new investment vehicle through hands-on experience. Each small success builds confidence and competence, allowing you to gradually take on larger, more sophisticated investment opportunities. Understanding the difference between calculated risks and reckless gambles is crucial. Calculated risks involve thorough research, clear understanding of potential outcomes, and strategic planning to minimize downside while maximizing upside potential. Reckless gambles, on the other hand, rely on luck and hope rather than analysis and strategy. The wealthy don't avoid risk, they embrace it, but only after careful evaluation and preparation. Your relationship with risk directly impacts your wealth-building potential. Those who learn to embrace calculated risks often find themselves presented with increasingly valuable opportunities. This is because success in taking smaller risks builds both the confidence and the competence to recognize and seize larger opportunities. Meanwhile, those who remain paralyzed by fear watch from the sidelines as others build wealth through strategic risk-taking. The path to wealth requires stepping out of your comfort zone and facing your fears about money and risk. This doesn't mean being reckless or gambling with your financial future. Instead, it means developing the knowledge and skills to evaluate opportunities objectively, creating systems to manage risk effectively, and building the emotional resilience to act despite uncertainty. Every successful investor, entrepreneur, and wealth builder started exactly where you are, with fears and doubts about taking risks. The difference is they chose to move forward anyway, armed with education, strategy, and the understanding that the biggest risk of all is letting fear keep you stuck in financial mediocrity. Lesson 4. Living for today without planning for tomorrow. Most people understand the basic concept that they should plan for the future, yet they still prioritize immediate gratification over long-term security. This behavior isn't simply a matter of poor discipline, it's deeply rooted in our psychological makeup. Our brains are wired to favor immediate rewards over future benefits, a tendency that served our ancestors well when focusing on immediate needs, but works against us in our modern financial lives. This preference for immediate rewards manifests in countless daily decisions. It's the choice to buy the latest smartphone instead of investing that money in your retirement account. It's opting for an expensive vacation when your emergency fund is practically empty. It's choosing to live in a bigger apartment that stretches your budget rather than saving the difference in a more modest living space. Each individual decision might seem reasonable in the moment, but collectively they create a pattern that undermines your financial future. The real challenge lies in overcoming what psychologists call temporal discounting, our tendency to view our future selves as strangers. When we make decisions that affect our future selves, we often treat them with the same disconnect we might feel toward a distant relative or acquaintance. This psychological distance makes it easier to burden our future selves with debt, insufficient savings, or missed investment opportunities. To break free from this short-term mindset requires developing a vivid emotional connection to your future self. Try imagining yourself in 20 or 30 years as vividly as possible. What will you look like? How will you feel? What kind of life do you want to be living? This exercise isn't just about visualization. It's about creating an emotional bridge between your present and future selves that makes long-term planning feel more urgent and relevant. The solution isn't to completely deny yourself present pleasures. That's neither realistic nor sustainable. Instead, the key is to create a balanced approach that honors both your present and future needs. This might mean allocating your resources using the 50/30/20 rule. 50% for current needs, 30% for current wants, and 20% for future security. The exact percentages can vary based on your situation, but the principle remains the same. Create a structured way to serve both your present and future selves. Technology can be a powerful ally in this endeavor. Automated savings and investment systems remove the emotional burden of daily decision-making. When money automatically moves from your paycheck into investment accounts before you can spend it, you're essentially forcing your present self to act in your future self's best interests. These systems create a form of enforced discipline that bypasses your brain's natural tendency toward immediate gratification. The most successful long-term planners understand that tomorrow's security is built through today's small, consistent actions. They recognize that compound interest works best over long periods, that early career decisions affect retirement options, and that health choices made in youth impact quality of life in later years. They see planning for the future not as a sacrifice, but as a gift to themselves, one that pays dividends in both financial security and peace of mind. True financial wisdom lies in finding ways to enjoy the present while simultaneously building for the future. This might mean focusing on experiences that bring joy without depleting resources, learning to derive satisfaction from watching your investments grow, or finding pleasure in the process of working toward long-term goals. The key is to shift your perspective from seeing future planning as a burden to viewing it as an act of self-care and respect for the person you'll become. Time is the most powerful force in wealth building. The decisions you make today don't just affect tomorrow. They create ripple effects that can span decades. Every dollar invested in your 20s could be worth 10 times as much by retirement. Every healthy financial habit you develop now creates a foundation for future abundance. By learning to balance present enjoyment with future security, you're not just planning for tomorrow, you're creating a legacy of financial wisdom that will serve you for life. Lesson 5. Ignoring your credit score. Your credit score is far more than just a number. It's a key that either unlocks financial opportunities or keeps them firmly out of reach. Many people dismiss their credit score as irrelevant until they need it, only to discover its profound impact on their wealth-building journey. This 3-digit number influences everything from interest rates on loans to insurance premiums, rental applications, and even job opportunities. Consider two people with identical incomes purchasing the same house. The person with excellent credit might secure a 3.5% interest rate, while the one with poor credit could face rates of 6% or higher. On a $300,000 0-cents mortgage, this difference in rates translates to over $150,000 0 cents in additional interest payments over 30 years. This extra money represents wealth that could have been invested, saved, or used to improve quality of life. Instead, it's handed over to lenders as the price of poor credit. The impact extends beyond major purchases. Credit scores affect car insurance rates, cell phone contracts, and utility deposits. Employers increasingly check credit reports during hiring processes, especially for financial positions. Landlords use them to screen tenants, and some companies even consider credit scores when evaluating business partnerships. Each of these situations represents either an opportunity to save money or an additional cost that erodes wealth over time. Building and maintaining good credit isn't particularly complex, but it requires consistent attention and understanding. The foundation starts with paying bills on time, every time. Payment history accounts for 35% of your FICO score, making it the single most important factor. Credit utilization and the percentage of available credit you're using comes second at 30%. Keeping utilization below 30% sends a strong signal that you manage credit responsibly. Many people damage their credit through simple misunderstandings. Closing old credit cards might seem prudent, but can actually hurt your score by reducing your credit history length and increasing utilization ratios. Similarly, applying for multiple new credit accounts in a short period triggers hard inquiries that temporarily lower your score. These actions, while well-intentioned, can have lasting negative effects on your financial opportunity. The good news is that credit scores can be improved with focused effort. Start by obtaining your free annual credit reports and disputing any errors. Set up automatic payments to ensure bills are paid on time. If you have high-interest credit card debt, consider consolidation options or balance transfer cards with 0% introductory rates. As you demonstrate responsible credit use over time, your score will gradually improve, opening doors to better financial opportunities. Your credit score also serves as a powerful wealth-building tool when used strategically. Good credit allows you to take advantage of credit card rewards programs, earning cash back or travel points on purchases you'd make anyway. It enables you to secure business loans at favorable rates to fund entrepreneurial ventures. When real estate opportunities arise, strong credit gives you the ability to act quickly and secure optimal financing terms. The relationship between credit scores and wealth creation operates in both directions. As you build better credit, you gain access to more favorable financial terms, which makes it easier to accumulate wealth. As you accumulate wealth, you're better positioned to maintain good credit, creating a positive feedback loop that accelerates your financial progress. This synergy makes your credit score one of the most powerful and often overlooked tools in your wealth-building arsenal. Lesson 6. Saving money in places that don't grow. One of the most devastating financial mistakes people make is believing they're doing the right thing by keeping their money safe in traditional savings accounts. While having emergency funds readily available is important, storing the bulk of your wealth in vehicles that barely earn interest is essentially watching your money slowly disappear through inflation. Think of inflation as a silent tax that erodes your purchasing power year after year. When your savings account pays 0.1% interest while inflation runs at 2-3% annually, you're actually losing money in real terms. That $10,000, 0 cents, you carefully tucked away this year will only buy $9,700, 0 cents worth of goods next year. After a decade, your purchasing power could be reduced by 25% or more, even though the number in your account stays the same. The wealthy understand this fundamental principle and refuse to let their money stagnate. Instead, they seek out investment vehicles that have historically outpaced inflation: stocks, real estate, businesses, and other appreciating assets. These growth-all-invested investments have their ups and downs, but over long periods they've consistently built real wealth for those willing to embrace them. Many people avoid these growth vehicles because they seem complicated or risky. But what's truly risky is guaranteeing the loss of your purchasing power by keeping substantial amounts in low-yield accounts. Learning about different asset classes doesn't require an economics degree. It starts with understanding basic investment options like index funds, which provide broad market exposure with minimal expertise required. Consider how different assets have performed historically. While savings accounts have yielded 1% or less in recent decades, the stock market has averaged around 10% annual returns over the long term. Real estate has built generational wealth through both appreciation and rental income. Even bonds, while less exciting than stocks, have historically offered better returns than savings accounts while providing relatively stable income. The solution isn't to completely abandon your savings account. Rather, it's to be strategic about how much you keep there. A good rule of thumb is to maintain 3-6 months of living expenses in easily accessible accounts for emergencies. Beyond that, your money should be deployed in vehicles designed for growth. This might mean starting with a simple retirement account invested in low-cost index funds, then gradually expanding into other assets as your knowledge and comfort level increase. The power of compound growth in proper investment vehicles versus savings accounts is staggering. Take two people who each save $5,000, 0 cents annually for 30 years. The first keeps everything in a savings account, earning 1%, ending up with about $170,000, 0 cents. The second invests in a diversified portfolio averaging 8% returns, accumulating over $600,000, 0 cents difference. $430,000, 0 cents is the cost of playing it too safe with your money. Starting small is perfectly acceptable. You might begin by moving just $100, 0 cents monthly from savings into an investment account. The key is understanding that every dollar sitting in a low-yield account is a dollar not working to its full potential. As your confidence grows, you can gradually shift more of your assets into growth-oriented vehicles that align with your risk tolerance and time horizon. Your money should be treated like employees. Each dollar needs to pull its weight and contribute to your financial growth. When you leave excess funds in accounts that don't grow, you're essentially paying those employees to do nothing. By understanding this principle and taking action to position your money for real growth, you take a crucial step toward building lasting wealth rather than just accumulating slowly disappearing savings. Lesson 7. Trading time for money forever. The most precious resource you have isn't money. It's time. Yet millions of people remain trapped in the paradigm of trading their limited hours for a fixed income, essentially placing a cap on their earning potential and sacrificing their most valuable asset in the process. This exchange of time for money represents one of the most significant barriers to building lasting wealth. Consider the traditional career path. You work roughly 2,000 hours per year, receiving a salary that increases incrementally over time. Even if you're highly compensated, there's a fundamental ceiling to this approach. You can't create more hours in the day, and your energy has limits. The wealthy understand this constraint and instead focus on breaking the direct connection between their time and their income. This transformation begins with a shift in mindset from being a pure service provider to becoming a value creator. Instead of asking, how can I earn more per hour, start asking, how can I create value that generates income while I sleep? This might mean developing digital products, building automated systems, creating intellectual property, or establishing businesses that can operate without your constant presence. The path to breaking free from the time for money trap often starts small, alongside your existing income stream. A consultant might package their knowledge into an online course. A fitness trainer could create workout videos that generate passive income. A photographer might license their images through stock photo websites. The key is to begin building assets that can produce income independently of your direct effort. Technology has dramatically lowered the barriers to creating scalable income streams. Digital platforms allow you to reach global audiences, automation tools can handle routine tasks, and artificial intelligence can multiply your productivity. These tools enable you to leverage your knowledge and skills far beyond what was possible in the traditional time-for-money model. Investment income represents another crucial avenue for breaking free from trading time for money. When you own assets that appreciate or generate cash flow, whether through real estate, businesses, or financial instruments, you're creating income streams that work independently of your daily efforts. This doesn't mean you'll never work again, but rather that your income isn't directly tied to your time investment. The transition requires patience and strategic planning. Many people fail because they expect immediate results or try to make the leap too quickly. Instead, treat it as a gradual evolution. Start by dedicating a few hours each week to building systems or assets that could generate passive income. Document your expertise, create products or services that can be automated, and continuously look for opportunities to scale your impact without scaling your time commitment. Perhaps the most powerful aspect of breaking free from the time for money trap is the compound effect it has on your life. As you build multiple income streams that don't require your direct involvement, you gain not just money, but also freedom. This freedom allows you to make choices based on what truly matters to you, rather than what pays the bills. You can pursue opportunities for growth, spend time with family, or take on projects simply because they interest you. The reality is that continuing to trade time for money throughout your entire career is a form of self-imposed limitation. While it might feel safe and familiar, it's ultimately a trap that keeps you from reaching your full wealth-building potential. By deliberately working to break this pattern, you open yourself to exponential rather than linear growth. The question isn't whether you can afford to make this transition, it's whether you can afford not to. Lesson 8. Not tracking your finances. Most people have a clearer picture of their Netflix watching habits than their spending patterns. This fundamental disconnect from our financial reality creates a fog that obscures the path to wealth. Without tracking, money seems to vanish mysteriously, leaving us wondering where it all went at the end of each month. Think of tracking your finances like using a GPS for wealth building. You wouldn't attempt to navigate an unfamiliar city without directions, yet millions try to build wealth without monitoring their financial coordinates. This lack of awareness leads to unconscious spending, missed investment opportunities, and the perpetuation of poor money habits that keep us trapped in cycles of financial mediocrity. The resistance to tracking often stems from fear of confronting our financial reality. It's easier to remain blissfully unaware than to face the hard truth about our spending habits, debt levels, or lack of progress toward our goals. However, this avoidance comes at an enormous cost. Without accurate financial data, we make decisions based on feelings rather than facts, leading to choices that feel good in the moment but harm our long-term financial health. Modern technology has eliminated most excuses for not tracking our finances. Smartphones provide access to powerful apps that automatically categorize expenses, monitor investment performance, and calculate net worth in real time. These tools transform what was once a tedious bookkeeping exercise into an effortless background process that provides valuable insights with minimal effort. The true power of tracking reveals itself through patterns. When you monitor your finances consistently, you begin to notice spending triggers, income opportunities, and wealth-building possibilities that remained invisible before. You might discover that you spend more on impulse purchases during stressful work periods, or that certain months consistently strain your budget due to predictable but unplanned expenses. Beyond basic expense tracking lies the crucial practice of monitoring net worth. While your bank balance tells you about today, your net worth reveals the bigger picture of your financial health. It accounts for assets, liabilities, and the overall trajectory of your wealth-building efforts. Regular net worth calculations provide motivation as you watch your financial foundation strengthen over time. Tracking also introduces accountability into your financial life. When you know your numbers, you can't hide from the impact of your choices. That impulsive purchase becomes harder to justify when you see how it affects your savings rate. Investment decisions improve when you can clearly see their performance against your goals. The vague anxiety about money transforms into concrete action items based on real data. The practice of tracking your finances creates a feedback loop that accelerates wealth building. As you become more aware of your financial patterns, you naturally begin to optimize them. Small leaks in your financial boat become apparent and easier to fix. Investment opportunities become clearer as you understand exactly how much capital you have available and where it might be best deployed. Start your tracking journey with whatever system feels manageable. Whether it's a simple spreadsheet, a dedicated app, or even a notebook, the important thing is to begin capturing your financial data. Over time, you can refine your system and add more sophisticated metrics, but the fundamental act of paying attention to your money will immediately begin shifting your relationship with wealth building. The most successful wealth builders treat their personal finances with the same seriousness that businesses treat their accounting. They know that financial clarity leads to better decisions, and better decisions lead to greater wealth. By implementing consistent tracking practices, you transform money from an emotional mystery into a practical tool for building the future you desire. Lesson 9. Believing wealth is only for others. The most insidious barrier to building wealth isn't external, it's the deep-seated belief that financial abundance is meant for other people, but not for you. This limiting belief often stems from early childhood experiences, societal messaging, or past financial setbacks that have crystallized into a permanent sense of monetary unworthiness. Many people unconsciously carry narratives like, rich people are lucky, wealth requires special connections, or I'm just not good with money. These self-defeating stories become self-fulfilling prophecies, creating invisible walls that prevent you from taking the actions necessary to build wealth. When you believe success belongs to others, you'll find endless evidence to support that belief, while simultaneously dismissing opportunities that could change your financial trajectory. This mental barrier manifests in subtle ways: avoiding investment research because it feels too complicated, not applying for better-paying positions because they seem out of reach, or dismissing business ideas before giving them a chance. The wealth barrier belief system acts as a protective mechanism, shielding you from potential disappointment or failure by keeping you safely within your financial comfort zone. The truth is that wealth creation follows universal principles that work regardless of your background, education, or current circumstances. Every wealthy person started somewhere, and many began with significant disadvantages. What separated them wasn't innate ability or luck, but rather their willingness to reject the notion that wealth was reserved for others and embrace the possibility of their own financial success. Breaking free from this mindset requires conscious effort to recognize and challenge these limiting beliefs. Start by examining your money story. Does my Lennox's mantramages go? Today I do it your way, he thought, wrecking beliefs. How have past experiences shaped your beliefs about your ability to build wealth? Understanding these influences is the first step in rewriting your financial narrative. Next, actively seek out evidence that contradicts your limiting beliefs. Study the stories of self-made people who share your background or overcame similar obstacles. Pay attention to the ordinary people in your community who have built wealth through consistent application of sound financial principles. Their success isn't magic, it's the result of specific actions and decisions that you can learn and replicate. Creating new reference experiences is crucial for cementing this mindset shift. Start small by setting and achieving modest financial goals. Each success, no matter how minor, helps reprogram your brain to expect positive financial outcomes. As you build momentum, gradually increase the scope of your goals and actions. The confidence gained from these experiences will naturally expand your sense of what's possible. Wealth is not a fixed pie where someone else's success diminishes your opportunities. The economy is an expanding system with room for countless success stories. Your belief that wealth is possible for you doesn't take anything away from others. Instead, it adds another example of what's achievable through focused effort and smart strategy. Take ownership of your financial future by consciously replacing phrases like "I could never" with "how could I?" This simple linguistic shift opens your mind to possibilities rather than limitations. When you encounter successful people, instead of dismissing their achievements as unattainable, ask yourself what principles you can learn from their journey. The path to wealth becomes available once you truly believe it's possible for you. This doesn't mean ignoring real challenges or obstacles. Rather, it means approaching them with the conviction that solutions exist and you're capable of finding them. Your belief in your own potential for wealth is the foundation upon which all other financial success strategies are built. Lesson 10. Surrounding yourself with the wrong people. Your financial destiny is profoundly shaped by the 5 people you spend the most time with. This isn't just motivational rhetoric, it's a documented phenomenon that your income tends to average out to that of your closest associates. When you surround yourself with people who make poor financial decisions, complain about money, or ridicule wealth-building activities, their attitudes and behaviors inevitably influence your own financial trajectory. Consider how often you've been pressured to spend money you didn't want to spend just to maintain social connections. Perhaps friends have dismissed your entrepreneurial ideas or mocked your frugal choices. Maybe family members have discouraged you from investing, warning about market risks while they themselves remain financially stagnant. These subtle and overt influences create an invisible ceiling on your wealth potential. The wealthy understand this principle intimately and cultivate their social circles with intention. They seek out mentors who have achieved what they aspire to accomplish. They join masterminds with other success-minded people. They distance themselves from negative influences without apology. This isn't about abandoning old friends or being elitist. It's about consciously choosing to spend more time with people who elevate your financial thinking and support your growth. Your financial education comes largely through osmosis from your peer group. When you spend time with successful investors, you naturally learn about investment opportunities. When you associate with entrepreneurs, you begin thinking like a business owner. When your friends discuss assets and wealth-building strategies instead of consumer purchases and financial fears, your own financial vocabulary and mindset expand accordingly. The challenge lies in transitioning your social circle without creating unnecessary conflict. Start by identifying the wealth-building attitudes and behaviors you want to adopt. Seek out communities, both online and offline, where people actively discuss and implement these practices. Join investment clubs, attend business networking events, or participate in financial education groups. You'll naturally meet people who share your aspirations and can help pull you up to the next level. Meanwhile, be mindful of how you spend time with those who may be resistant to your financial growth. You don't need to preach or criticize their choices, but you can redirect conversations away from unproductive money discussions. When they complain about their financial situation, avoid joining the complaint session. Instead, share what you're learning about improving your circumstances. Some may become curious and join you on your journey, while others may naturally drift away. Your environment will fight to keep you at your current financial level. Friends may guilt-trip you for missing expensive social outings. Family members might question why you're suddenly interested in investing or starting a business. Colleagues could resent your ambition to advance beyond their position. Their reactions often stem from their own fears and limitations, not your worth or potential. Building wealth requires you to think differently than the average person, and that's impossible to sustain in an environment that celebrates financial mediocrity. Seek out people who have what you want and are willing to show you the way. Find peers who challenge you to set bigger goals and hold you accountable to achieving them. Create relationships with those who see abundance where others see scarcity, who talk about opportunities instead of obstacles, who take action instead of making excuses. The right peer group won't just inspire you, they'll open doors to opportunities you never knew existed. They'll share insights from their own success and failures, saving you years of costly trial and error. They'll connect you with resources, partners, and ideas that accelerate your wealth-building journey. Most importantly, they'll normalize the behaviors and mindset required for financial success, making it easier for you to maintain your course even when faced with resistance from your old social circle. Lesson 11. Procrastinating on learning money skills. Most people spend more time planning their next vacation than learning how to build wealth. Financial education often takes a back seat to more immediate concerns, creating a perpetual cycle of postponing the very knowledge that could transform our financial lives. This avoidance of financial learning isn't just procrastination. It's a form of self-sabotage that keeps millions trapped in financial mediocrity. The excuses are familiar. I'll learn about investing when I have more money to invest. Or, I'll study finances when things slow down at work. Yet this backward thinking prevents us from acquiring the skills needed to generate that extra money or create the time freedom we desire. Financial education is not a luxury to be pursued after achieving success. It's the fundamental prerequisite for creating wealth in the first place. The financial world evolves rapidly, with new investment vehicles, technologies, and opportunities emerging constantly. Those who procrastinate on developing their financial intelligence find themselves increasingly left behind, overwhelmed by options they don't understand, and vulnerable to both missed opportunities and potential scams. The cost of financial ignorance compounds over time, just as powerfully as interest on investments. Many assume that financial education requires formal schooling or expensive courses. However, we live in an age of unprecedented access to financial knowledge. Free resources abound through books, podcasts, reputable online sources, and financial experts sharing insights on social media. The real barrier isn't access to information, it's our reluctance to make financial learning a daily priority. The most successful investors and wealth builders share a common trait. They are perpetual students of money. They read financial statements for entertainment, discuss market trends over dinner, and treat their financial education as seriously as their professional development. This ongoing commitment to learning keeps them ahead of economic shifts and positions them to capitalize on opportunities that others miss. Starting your financial education doesn't require mastering complex theories or understanding every market nuance. Begin with the basics: budgeting, saving, investing fundamentals, and understanding credit. These foundational skills create the platform for more advanced learning. Each concept you grasp builds upon the previous one, creating a compounding effect in your financial intelligence. A practical approach is to dedicate just 15 minutes daily to financial education. Read one article about investing, listen to a financial podcast during your commute, or study one new financial term each day. This consistent, bite-sized approach prevents overwhelm while steadily building your financial knowledge base. The key is starting now, not waiting for the perfect time that never arrives. The most dangerous aspect of procrastinating on financial education is that it leaves you dependent on others for financial decisions. Without basic financial literacy, you're forced to trust financial advisors, family members, or colleagues blindly, rather than making informed choices about your money. While expert advice is valuable, you should be knowledgeable enough to evaluate that advice and make confident decisions about your financial future. The digital age has democratized financial knowledge, but it's also increased the urgency of financial education. Cryptocurrencies, fintech innovations, and evolving investment platforms create new opportunities and risks that previous generations never faced. Those who continually educate themselves about these developments position themselves to benefit from financial innovation, rather than being confused or exploited by it. Your financial education is perhaps the highest return on investment you can make. Unlike market investments that can lose value, the knowledge you gain about money management, investing, and wealth building appreciates over time and can never be taken away. Each day you postpone learning about money is another day of operating at a disadvantage in an increasingly complex financial world. Lesson 12. Waiting for permission to start. The most insidious wealth trap might be the one you never notice: waiting for someone to give you permission to begin building wealth. This invisible barrier manifests in countless ways, from waiting for the right time to start investing, to seeking endless validation before starting a business, to believing you need another degree or certification before pursuing higher income opportunities. This permission-seeking behavior stems from our early conditioning. Throughout childhood and education, we're taught to raise our hands, ask for approval, and follow predetermined paths. While this structure serves a purpose in academic settings, it becomes a severe liability in wealth building. The market doesn't care about your credentials or whether you feel ready. It rewards action and result. Many aspiring entrepreneurs and investors spend years in what could be called preparation limbo, consuming endless content, attending seminars, and gathering information without ever taking meaningful action. They convince themselves that they need just one more book, one more course, or one more mentor before they're qualified to start. This perpetual preparation becomes a comfortable excuse to avoid the discomfort of actually beginning. The truth is that the wealthy don't wait for permission, they grant it to themselves. Every successful investor made their first investment without having perfect knowledge. Every successful business owner started without knowing exactly how everything would work out. They understood that experience is the best teacher, and no amount of preparation can substitute for actual engagement in the wealth-building process. The permission trap often disguises itself as prudence or responsibility. You might tell yourself you're being smart by waiting until you have X amount saved, or until you've learned Y skill perfectly, or until economic conditions are ideal. While some basic preparation is necessary, excessive waiting becomes a form of self-sabotage. The perfect moment never arrives because perfection doesn't exist in the real world of wealth building. Consider the opportunity cost of waiting. Every year you delay investing costs you not just the initial investment amount, but all the compound interest that money could have earned over time. Every month you postpone starting a side business is a month of potential revenue and learning experiences lost forever. The cost of waiting for permission often exceeds the cost of making mistakes while learning. Breaking free from the permission trap requires recognizing that uncertainty is not just normal, it's necessary. Every wealthy person you admire started with uncertainties, doubts, and incomplete information. The difference is they chose to act anyway, understanding that movement creates momentum and clarity comes through action, not contemplation. Start viewing permission-seeking as a red flag in your wealth-building journey. When you catch yourself waiting for approval, ask yourself, who exactly am I waiting for? Often you'll realize the only person holding you back is yourself. The market doesn't require permission slips, and success doesn't wait for those who are perpetually getting ready to get ready. Take inventory of your current permission-seeking behaviors. Are you waiting to invest until you know enough? Are you postponing that business idea until you feel more qualified? Are you delaying wealth-building actions until someone validates your plans? Identify these self-imposed barriers and consciously choose to move past them. Wealth building is inherently a process of learning through action. You'll never feel completely ready, and that's exactly as it should be. The most valuable lessons come from engaging with real markets, making real investments, and building real businesses. Grant yourself permission to be a beginner, to make mistakes, and to learn as you go. The path to wealth begins the moment you decide to stop waiting and start acting.